The problem is, I just don't think you can play a tank with this team if you're Monki, right? And I don't think that's an indictment on Monki. I think he can play these champions just fine. I just think that for the team that you have and what you need to do, you must be on a carry, and it's your laners that must be supplementing you. But also playing champions that if you get them advantaged, they will be able to do well themselves.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct in this one. There's a reason that BLG have been taking away the Skarner every single time. There's a reason that 2 of their 3 bans are heading on towards Monki immediately. They want to make this guy uncomfortable. And this, I think, I would like a lot better. The Xin Zhao has been looking really good for Monki. It's one of the highest priority junglers in the entire league for a reason. This champion continues to rip people's heads off. It gives you some extra survivability as well, in a similar way to the Pantheon did for Shadow in the previous game. So I really like that as that first pick. Now, what's the response right here out of BLG? The Nico would be very surprising. That's pretty early on to be locking this one in. I mean, there's still a bunch of things that you would otherwise expect to be very high priority picks available. No, the Nico is going to get locked right here. I would expect this to be an On pickup, and On has looked really good with this one.
Yeah, and I think BLG, it would probably do pretty well for them to pick up an 80 carry here, mostly because you can... Oh, okay, they went with the Kaisa. I thought they might have gone with the more poke-oriented because the Varus isn't available, but hey, you know, Nico in team fights, always a good time for a Kaisa to dive, so that's what we're going to get for BLG.
It does telegraph the sort of playstyle you want very early on right here, so I do wonder if BLG are going to be looking towards something like the Vi as well to be able to pair up alongside it. Something, again, aggressive that can get into the backline and go dive, because you don't want to have yourself in a situation where the Nico is your only big engage tool. That can put you out of sorts very, very quickly on. WE, they're going to lock themselves in the Rumble, one of the highest priority top laners, and something very, very strong in the meta at the moment. Thing is, Bin, he's got plenty of picks that he doesn't mind taking into this one. We'll see if he wants to get aggressive, though. He can also just play himself something that sits a little bit further back, take himself an easy enough Gnar matchup, Renekton matchup, potentially. This is something that Karis picks a lot. It's one of his better champions, but into Knight knows how to dismantle this. I don't know how much you really want to be playing this as Karis. Obviously, he thinks that it's going to be fine.
And we're going to see the Ornn get locked in, so, you know, as you mentioned... telegraphed of the first 2 picks, fully indexing into team fight with your 3rd pick. And Team WE, they will have a lot of strength early themselves, especially for the first couple objectives. As we head into the second half of bans, we see Karma bite the dust here. So wanting to make sure that this Kaisa has a lot of room to breathe in this lane.
Yeah, you really don't want to just be sat poked out constantly. Would be pretty miserable. I like the Ornn lock-in right here for Bin. Yeah, you don't necessarily take the head off of Q, but you really don't need to. I think Bin's been looking really good on these tanks so far. And so Victor also going to come off of the board. Just going to take out a couple of these nice, easy poke matchups that you can potentially go to. I wonder if the Orianna might be something that you want to be looking towards as Knight. That does take you a little bit away from the overall dive, but you do still then have a couple different ball delivery systems, and I am surprised that Shadow's being left so late on into this game. You don't usually see a lot of teams picking up their jungler in the second rotation. Junglers are very much first rotation pickups most of the time.
We're going to see this Vi get taken away as well. Rakan is what BLG elected to ban. Looks like we might see a jungler pick up here. I think a Wukong would fit the bill perfectly, and that's what they lock in.
Yeah, you've got a lot of one-more combo right here. I think this does increase the priority of the Orianna right here for BLG. It would fit very well into this composition. WE, they are going to go towards the Corki and the Rel, so something that can get very aggressive down in the bottom lane. This bottom lane is going to be incredibly explosive. Don't do that. Yeah, the Orianna was always going to be the pickup right here. I like the idea.
Veigar would have been great here. That Cage would have gone crazy against this team, which is why I was disappointed.
Would have been good.
One of my favorite champions.
Right.
But Ori is
fair.
So.
Hey, I can understand what in the Veigar right here. I do just think the Orianna fits the bill a little bit better. You've got so many ball delivery systems. It's a much safer lane for you as well, you know. Look, I'm sorry to be boring, right? I'm sure there'll be a big shockwave that happens that you can yell about during the game, and
you're about as spicy as the food you have over at your country, my friend.
Look, you don't have to call us out like that, right? We have salt and pepper. What do you mean?
Pepper. I love that one guy on TikTok, but yeah, you know, one thing that I remarked on was this was going to be a fun game to watch because I think WE, they spike a little bit higher on 6 than BLG, but as the game goes on, it starts to tilt more and more in favor of BLG. But these fights are going to be explosive. Bloxxer I am very, very excited because I'm going to get to scream and shout at Little All Out this game, I think.
I think so, and there are a ton of just big ultis right here. BLG, you wouldn't necessarily think of this as the overall wombo combo of compositions. You kind of need an MF instead of this Kai'Sa to really be able to complete the wombo combo, but you've still got a ton of tools for it. I personally think that the Pot Blossom is the single most fun ability in the entire game. If On's able to hit a couple of big ones, that's going to be really fun, and it's not all on On to start the fight off. You can bring the On Horn down first, then you can go in with either the Shockwave or that Pot Blossom, layer those up. This should be another game where Elk gets to free roam through these team fights.
Summoner's Rift could be the final game of the first series of the day. BLG looking to put this away cleanly.
There we go. I think the BLG man has warmed up his lungs a little bit louder right there for the gyros on the squad. Always good to get those coming through. And yes, I do agree. This is going to be a very interesting matchup. The bot lane could be incredibly explosive, and so I'm going to be looking towards these junglers to see where they're starting. I would not be surprised if we see top lane starts from both of them work their way on towards the bottom side of the map, because the gank and the counter gank is going to be incredibly strong right here. You're going to be in a stronger position early on as Monki. The Xin Zhao just gives you a little bit extra. The second that the level 6 comes through for Shadow, though, that's where he can really start to make his impact onto this map and potentially get this bot lane ahead, as you would really like to do.
Something worth noting, although less impactful for a player already taking teleport, is that Bin does have Summoner Spellbook, so we'll have access to the large suite, but you know, we always think about teleport being so impactful for the supports that take Spellbook, so it is still worth noting.
Yeah, and it is interesting to see that On has decided against the Spellbook. We really have been just seeing Spellbook, 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 but you do need that extra level of poke that comes from the Comet. I can understand why he doesn't decide to go towards that Unsealed, but it does mean you won't get that extra level of map mobility out of this Nico. Instead, Elk On, once again, they're going to just take up the space that they are owed in this laning phase. They're going to hit that level 2 first as well, and just be able to keep on pressing forwards. It's kind of miserable early on for Taeyoon and Vampire. The saving grace for them, of course, is that if they can find an angle to go in, if Vampire can get himself a good crash down, you can turn this around, and the Corki does a ton of damage early on.
Yeah, Corki Gatling Gun plus his Valkyrie. Valkyrie, this ability, it does so much damage at level 1 or at its first rank, so if you do happen to catch somebody, if you're Vampire, they will die because they are incredibly squishy, but On seems to be playing well with the range and just needs to, you know, not get caught. Burn that flash if you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the junglers now, as they are both on the bottom side, just doing the regular clears, top to bottom here, with a collision course potentially on the horizon.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see if Shadow does work his way straight down to potentially cover off a dive. This is the problem with getting this much early pressure into the lane. You do open yourself up to a potential gank. They're going to know that this could be coming on. I think both of the junglers did spot each other early on, right at the very start of this game. So I won't be shocked to see Monki down in the bottom side of the map. Still, Monki just going to be finishing up his clear onto the Krugs. Bin, huge damage onto him.
Okay, the overheat's there, Bin.
Oh! Cube
so
not
close.
flashing for that.
That's shrewd. That is hard.
Yeah, I can understand why he doesn't, right? You know that Bin has the flash still available to him, and if you just get flash for flash, take a couple too many tower shots, you can turn that one around here as Bin. Still, Cube gonna use the fact that the Rumble has so much early power and just instantly push this one through. Bin gonna take another little chunk of damage, desperately trying to sort up these minions in the lane. Oh, that's a risky situation. He gets away with it, though.
Yeah, he built that null magic mantle, so he knew that he would be able to stay in a little bit longer. Let's see if he gets his back canceled. We saw Cube kind of hovering around a little bit. We mentioned it earlier on the broadcast, but Cube so far in Split 3, winless on this Rumble, has a KDA average of 2, kills 4.5 deaths, and half of an assist over 2 games. Not great, as we see an engage on the bot side. Instant flash from Elk because that Valkyrie is so strong.
Yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about, right? Elk and On, they can keep the pressure up for as long as they want, but they have to avoid getting caught out. Going in again is Vampire. Oh, he misses.
This is a problem. Uh-oh, flash after him. Down goes
Missed.
Vampire, and they're looking to double up on him, and they do. On gets that kill, too. An ill-advised move by the WE support.
It was exactly what you wanted to see early on from WE, but all of a sudden they go a little bit too far forwards, and critically Vampire misses his Shattering Strike. The second that he misses out onto that one, it's so easy to see that, hey, let's just go and take this one through. Interesting to see from On, he's going to take a quicker recall by just getting the execute through. He doesn't care about his KDA.
No, he got the wave fully in there. He got the wave aggro to him, so it didn't freeze on the other side. But
nice.
I'm just so surprised that Taeyoon had no mana, and I don't know why they kept going. We've really sung the praises of Vampire a lot from Split 2 onward. And there's a lot of things that Vampire still doesn't really do the best. His engages are really good, but his over-aggressiveness has gotten him and his lane partner punished many times as well.
The initial part of this is good. This is the problem. Jumps forwards, Shattering Strike is going to miss here. As soon as Elk doesn't get tagged by that, he can just start walking at you, and there's nothing that you can do. As you highlighted as well, Taeyoon, without mana, cannot lay down any extra damage too, even if that Shattering Strike lands. Maybe you don't actually win that fight anyway for WE, but without it, it was definitely going to be a loss. I don't even mind On picking up a kill right there. You want your Nico to be in a strong spot. You want your Nico to get a couple of items underneath his belt as well, so that you can get that extra damage through on the Pot Blossom. Bot lane already falling in the favor of BLG.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for WE. We need Monki to start doing things in fast, and, you know, it's unfair because it's 6.5 minutes into the game, right? The Dragon just spawned a little bit ago. We don't even have grubs for 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's unfair to be like, Monki needs to do something. But that's just the way that this team has been, Bloxxer.
Yeah.
So we're going to call the Forge God coming through. It's going to knock up Cube. Cube does not have that ultimate. Remember, he used that. And look at the turnaround. Monki is starting to do something. He's going to flash after Shadow, but he gets knocked up himself. But Bin has no mana. And Monki wants to continue to fight. He's taking some damage back, but he gets the job done. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Elk's got to burn the barrier. Taeyoon has plenty of mana this time around. The question is, can he finish him off? If you do, can On get the kill? He does manage to find the one, and he will be able to escape a 1-for-1 when the dust settles, with the supports getting kills apiece.
And supports getting kills not going to be ideal. Both of the ADCs would have rather picked those up. More importantly, topside, you highlight immediately Monki needs kills. Well, Monki hears that, immediately goes in and manages to pick himself up that kill. Over aggression, I think, out of Bin. I can understand why he was trying to buy a little bit of extra space so that Shadow could turn tail and run, but it was nowhere near quick enough, and without enough mana to be able to play around, he was very quickly out of spells to weave through. BLG, a little bit of over aggression is coming through to bite them in this one. We'll have a look back to see what we missed at the beginning of this bot lane fight. Elk just instantly gets exhausted, and yeah, we keep saying it, and it's going to keep being true. The amount of damage you can lay down early on with this Corki is insane. Good job on and Elk to be able to turn that 1-for-1.
Yeah, and that just means that Taeyoon not getting that kill, the gold doesn't really change all too much. And, you know, when you get extra kills on your support, it's pretty good until you get your first item, right? Yeah. Getting that first item faster is usually your most impactful item. But right now, since you're not feeling it, it's kind of useless. Yeah. We do see the grubs getting started up here by BLG. They've already secured the one. Shadow is going to slide out, potentially want to look for a re-engagement. It looks like that won't be the case, as On is just going to stick around, throw out some Qs. It'll be 2-for-1 for the grubs for WE.
I'm just going to land a little bit of poke, nothing too much that he needs to do. You want to make sure you don't lose out onto this next Drake. The Drake is going to be very important with a composition that just gets... Hang on, okay.
Okay, big Pop Blossom lands. Look at the damage coming down. Ultimate as well. Vampire has to flash, and Monki knocking everybody back, but won't be able to get too much more.
It feels a little bit like a waste of the ulti right there from Monki. The Crescent Guard, one of the strongest abilities that we've got in the game at the moment. Without that one, if you do want to go start up this Drake, gives you a good window to be able to do so. It looks like BLG still going to be happy to play this one a little bit slower, as they have been exhibiting, right? We saw it in the previous game. We saw it in their series versus top, a little bit versus JDG. Just happy to sit back, not over-aggress, and allow the game to unfold in front of them as they would like. Does mean that we should see a few more little bases coming through before we end up getting this fight around the Drake. Everybody is in the area for it if you do want to start this one up for BLG. Bin has teleport available. Cubes is almost up and available. He should have it once this fight does potentially start. These teams hovering, but not really over-aggressing yet.
Vampire is close to level 6, so you really want to get him level 6 before any of these fights break out, because
on this wave,
remember, we do think that WE's comp at level 6 will be quite good and be able to outfight BLG early, but once BLG start getting more items, it'll be very difficult.
Absolutely, it will be. Vampire does get that level 6, just takes it off of the last minion on that wave, so he is going to be in a strong spot. Teleport's going to unleash for these top laners as Cube continues to just push this wave in. It's making Bin so uncomfortable in this lane, and it makes it harder for him to actually think about teleporting away and getting involved in fights elsewhere. As long as he's always below half HP, you're not going to be anywhere near as effective on these fights. Still, Shadow is up in the top side of the map. You can see currently Cube trying to get a little bit of extra vision for himself, is going to spot out Shadow right here on his Krugs, and just helps back over the wall. Going to rejoin his lane. Nothing too much happening here. Monki.
A whole lot here. Vampire going to get a ward down. Another spot of a Nico clone. His Cube is now level 9 and continuing to take it to Bin. He does have a Spectre's Cowl, so is able to survive through this a little bit more, and later on when put in a side lane against maybe a Karis, he'll be just fine. Team WE will finally secure the Dragon at 11 minutes without any contest whatsoever, which, while that's good for them, is not really beneficial to them because there was no fight around it.
Yeah, exactly. You just end up picking up this objective. It's one Drake, not going to be the end of the world.
Right, we'll
WE can...
Oh, good buffer.
Ooh, that was nice. Really nice to be able to just chuck down the Between Worlds. Gives you that little second where you could just walk straight on through that shockwave, not have to worry about getting tagged back through. The damage still does land, so that doesn't work for you as well later on in the game once Knight's dealing a ton, but at this point, just going to allow Karis to get away. He's actually done a pretty good job of being able to absorb any pressure Knight's been trying to put down so far. Keep picking up these waves, but the game very slow. We're 12 minutes in, it's been 5 kills, right? These teams haven't been super aggressive. Got to admit, I do think that is benefiting BLG right now.
Yeah, and most of these kills have come out of the bot lane, right? It's been the 2v2s. They're the only time we saw any sort of jungle interaction was that top lane play where Monki was able to close out a kill on Bin. So it is interesting to note that the bot lanes have really charged a lot, and they're going to continue to do so. So we're looking to burst out on. He's ignited and is flashless as well.
Yeah, he's just going to have to jump away from that one. That's a big flash to be missing out on. That's a big bit of the engage. Yeah, Bin jumps forwards. He would have been able to pick up that kill if Cube doesn't jump over the wall. He's going to get that flash away from the Rumble, and that's a big flash to be missing out on, right? When we're talking about big flashes on, missing out on his means that's a big bit of the engage tool missing. Cube, so much extra survivability right here for the Rumble is no longer going to be available. Does manage to head back to base and complete the Leandries though, so Cube is going to deal massive damage at this point.
Yeah, he is doing so much. Bin is below half HP. Did you see Shadow leaving base with the Trinity Force? So it's time for him to step up and do something. We said earlier that if Monki could really push the pace and kind of be a little bit more proactive than Shadow, we saw Shun have a little bit of success with that in the JDG game versus BLG. It's only 1 kill so far for Monki, but he has been able to make his impact on this game earlier than Shadow was able to.
He just needs to keep this up, right?
Yeah. He's got to do something else. It's got to be soon.
Yes, exactly, right? We were talking about how he had to do something earlier on, and he was able to find that kill on an over-aggressive Bin. Now they have to find this play once again, and I think it's tricky for them at the moment because there's not really anything to force a fight around. You've got 1 minute 30 seconds until the Herald is going to spawn even. You've got 2.5 minutes until the next Drake is available, and whilst everybody's just sat in their lanes, there's not really gank opportunities available to Monki, and it's really just slowing the pace of this game down for him in a way he will not be happy about.
Trinity Force just picked up for Taeyoon, so he will be fully stocked for that Herald fight if we do have one. It's just a minute away. Now we're just waiting for On to get his first item. I don't know if that'll ever happen. Shadow on the wrong side of the tracks here, and Monki and Vampire are looking to make plays. Shadow had to flash away. Good route means that it's going to be harder for WE to chase, but the flash down for Shadow is big.
Yes, that's another one of these big engage tools now gone away, and a little bit of extra survivability too. At a key moment, right? We do have 40 seconds until that Herald is going to spawn, and that's going to make skirmishing so much harder to do right here for BLG. Of course, we are getting levels coming on through. That's level 11 now for Knight. Level 11 going to be coming through for Bin very soon as well. These carries put themselves into pretty strong spots. And things have just continued chugging along. These are little advantages that W have been able to find for themselves, but you have to pay it off. Right, you've now got a couple minutes until Shadow's going to have that flashback available. Punish him constantly. Shadow even getting pushed away from his blue buff right there.
Like
Cube
this.
now.
Exhaust because of the spell book. Cube has no flash. Remember, he used it in the last engagement. Big knockup is there too. Big play by Bin and Elk linking up.
Yeah, not usually the pairing that we end up looking towards, but Elk has been really effective at finding himself those kills, capitalizing on good plays from his teammates, and this is why I really like him on the Kai'Sa. I think it's one of those champions that he can make plays happen for himself, very aggressive with that killer instinct, and you're under no threat there. Cube does not have the damage to be able to burst you out in one tap, even with the Liandry's available, and now you find yourself in a 5v4 situation about this Herald. No teleport for Cube for him to get back to this play.
No, not at all. Monki is going to head over, but it's a 4v3. I don't know if this is the fight that you want to take. On's going to get in there. Pop Blossom lands on the 2. Taeyoon has to flash away, and On is getting taken very low. Will fall to Vampire. See Monki try to charge 40, wants to go in on Bin. Remember, Bin is all MR, no armor right now. So he goes down pretty easily. Knight in the area. We're going to maybe take this one away. Shadow wants in, but it's smited away. And now they're going to look for Shadow. Shockwave landed. Ultimate used by Monki as he looks for more. He finally finds the Wukong. Here comes the equalizer over the top. And now they're going to look for Knight next as Monki continues to lead the charge. Just waiting for that wind becomes lightning. Not going to come up. Cube is going to be able to finish off Bin between worlds onto Elk as well. Trying to get away, but he can't do so. A double kill for Karis and Team WE turn it around on BLG.
There we go, WE. Just over-aggressive from BLG in a situation where they used all of their key ultis. There's no killer instinct. There's no Ornhorn to be able to pull on through. And without flashes on a couple of these key carries as well, they go in and just get caught out on. He thinks he's found the Pop Blossom of Dreams, but it ends up biting back. WE take themselves out to quite the advantage right here. And that's just a nice play to be able to find themselves a lead that they desperately needed in this series. Drake as well into their back pockets. That's now 2 for them. Soul point on the next one.
Once you flash away as Taeyoon, we're going to see on this replay, that's the time that On's got to try to get out of there. I mean, Slash wasn't up, but good on Vampire for slowing him up and able to take him out.
Exactly. Does really well to find that initial bit of counter engage. And then here just keeps on jumping forwards, finding himself a little bit of extra space. Really well executed. Shadow just gets caught through here. And at this point I thought, there's no way they can keep chasing this one, but was absolutely wrong. And Karis and Cube arriving to this fight as well makes these final couple of kills nice and easy to pick up. A much better look from Karis so far in this one.
Yeah, that's both summoners out of Elk as well. So very good stuff by Team WE. Now up almost 1,000 gold. Gonna chop down on this turret, but you know, we said it before, we'll say it again. It was Monki, the one who really kept that fight going. And we're gonna see him try to make another play on the Cube. He does burn his flash, but a great prediction means that he is cooked as well.
Yep. It's now gonna be the second time that
There's
play
fights
works.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's
flashing
gonna
away,
keep
gonna look for a re-engage. The Pop Blossom's there. Elk over the wall. Shockwave lands only onto 1. And Team WE will continue to use their push in the mid lane with this Herald.
I'm not sure that Elk particularly wanted to land himself exactly where he did. If he did, then a bit of a misplay. Just finds himself out of position, isn't able to land any more of the damage. Now Bin teleporting in, huge damage onto him. He's just dead.
Yeah, he just takes so much damage from these physical damage dealers. Taeyoon and Monki. He has 25 armor, I think.
Yeah,
from the Aegis. That's it.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. Just the Kanik available to him means that, you don't currently take a lot of damage from Cube and Karis, but everybody else is going to be able to just wreck straight through you. And this is BLG beginning to fall apart with a composition we overall really liked. The thing is, it's not been any of these later skirmishes that we've been able to see yet from them. Instead, it's been these quick snap engages out of WE, finding the damage nice and fast and stopping the BLG re-engages from really being able to come on through. Knight right now has himself 0 kill participation. He has not been able to get involved in this game at all.
Yeah, neither is Shadow. Shadow has 1 KP, which, you know, like, whatever. He has not been able to do anything. That flash being burnt way before that Herald fight ended up having such a big impact. We have not seen a big Cyclone out of him at all in this game. And now it's just a matter of Team WE continuing to take advantage in these skirmishes and not play out of their shoes, right? Because if you can go and you can get a pick or two, you can continue to maintain a lead. Because remember, we did say that BLG later on, this team does get scary. Remember, Elk is on 2 items.
Vampire just going to have to crack down over the wall. Going to be able to walk away from this one. 2 minutes now until the next Drake's going to spawn. With it being a Hextech Rift, this is an incredibly impactful Drake to be able to grab for yourself. WE moving in, looking to potentially collapse right here onto the opposition blue buff. Monki just going to steal that one away. And BLG, they're getting squeezed out of this map. They can't step up to these waves anywhere near as effectively as they would otherwise want to. They're losing out on a ton of pressure onto their jungle as well. And it's also resulting in a ton of vision, right? You can see for WE, they know what's happening on the map really well at the moment. Whereas for BLG, it's scarily dark.
This collapse is coming in. Shadow at least flying in wait. Teleport gonna come in from Cube. Bin doesn't have one. So Sonicon down below 10k HP. Shadow finally spotted. Is on over on the side. He's completely alone. The Equalizer's gonna split up Knight and Shadow. Pop Blossom trying to keep himself alive, but he can't. And we're gonna see Elk finally join the party. Meanwhile, Shadow's just getting 1v1 by Cube. Cube taking a lot of damage on the backside here as Knight is trying to do what he can. But Monki with a flash forward. The wind becomes lightning right on top of Knight, and he can't take him out. No, he will. Wind becomes lightning, gets the job done. Bin is here, but he only has Ignite. Call the Forge God is going to come through. Who's going to secure it? It is Taeyoon. Taeyoon is the one who finds the Otacon.
Oh, it was so close to actually being stolen away right there by Bin. Elk gonna get jumped again. Huge damage landing, but the re-engage.
All right, Elk, you don't have summoners. You got the barrier. Ults to the other side to keep himself upright. Bin burning away, though. He still takes so much damage, and he will fall. Karis on the teleport, looking to kill Elk too, and he will be able to find him. What are BLG doing? They're standing around and just dying on repeat.
This is lemons off a cliff right now, again and again and again and again. Really unfortunate to see here out of BLG. WE, though, capitalizing to great effect. And this is the game that we needed to see. Karis stepping up, Monki stepping up, Cube as well. And it's just constant. Vampire now going to jump in and chase Shadow out of his own jungle. They cannot leave their base. BLG, what are they doing? I think you're absolutely right to ask that here.
Yeah, I mean, this is good by WE, right? We talk about like, oh, BLG, what are these guys doing? I mean, WE recognize, hey guys, this is a 5v3. Their top laner doesn't have teleport. We can just start the Otacon. And this is what happens when Monki is involved in the game and he's able to play champions like these, where he is the guy who can call the shots because he has damage and brings damage with him. He didn't bring Smite with him here, but that was all right.
Nah, it's fine, it's fine, one stolen away. And then this moment, right, I can understand why Bin turns around and tries to help out Elk, but he's just sticking around a little bit too long, and the turn damage is just massive at this point. I was slightly worried as well that On was going to go flinging himself in as well. I was like, no, you have to walk away from this one, please, you have to walk away.
Yeah, I just don't understand. He could have just ran away, you know, and they go in and they just die for 0, and Team WE, they have 3 dragons now. It is a Hextech Soul too, so if you get tagged by a Corky Rocket, guess what? That's Engage. If you get tagged by the Rumble Ultimate, that's Engage. You are slowed, you're taking a bunch of damage, and you're going to lose. And Bloxxer, what does BLG need to do to get to this hyper late game at this point? It feels like it's what they're going to need.
Well, the wombo combos are going to have to land, right? We've been seeing a lot of these fights be disparate parts landing, but none of the whole. You're either arriving late with members, like Bin walking his way down to this team fight way after it had already started, or in the previous fight where you didn't have a couple of those key ultis because you've already used them. For BLG to win this one out, they're going to have to land all of these ultis together onto a couple of key targets. Now, it's going to be tricky to do, of course. Monki with the Crescent Guard, Karis with the Between Worlds. There's a lot of survivability here, but you have to hope for a little bit of a miracle and hit your shots, because otherwise WE, they're just going to keep this gravy train rolling. They've got all the momentum in this game, and they do not seem to be slowing down.
This is a problem. This is a problem. Pop Blossom is here. It's going to land on the 2. Knight is just hanging around waiting to use the shockwave at a good opportunity, but this turret is doing a lot of damage now. Monki is on top of Knight. When becomes lightning is going to land. His Bin is just getting whittled down by Taeyoon. He is on an island, and as it's not Love Island, he's got nowhere to go. No love lost for that guy.
Yikes.
As the top tier 2 will be split among multiple members. Shadow and Elk will get some gold for themselves, but Knight stepping up a little bit too far, has a nice sidestep there, but he's gone from the Knight in shining armor to a loser in aluminum foil.
There we go, and you really need to get those recalls coming through right now, otherwise you will lose this game. Yes, you get a little bit of gold into a couple of key carries here as BLG, but WE, they're able to just keep on walking forwards. They can transition it now. Mid lane,
Cyclone Elk in the middle of everybody, trying to make the hero play, but the Kaisa gene does not kick in when you're too far behind. Team WE ace BLG, and they will head to the Baron.
Yeah, they can turn this one straight back around, go spend a ton of gold, and pick themselves up a Baron as a prize. BLG, they are desperately trying to get themselves back into this game, but it feels like they are over-aggressing. They've got a little bit of the Monki problem where they have to try too hard to get back into this one. Elk gonna die on just an over-aggressive play. And BLG, they are falling apart in this one, but we cannot take credit away from WE. They are playing this one out incredibly well.
So good. I mean, Cube, just absolute domination of Bin. Yeah. When you land double tasers on a tank, even if they're building MR, it shreds so much MR. But he was doing that. Even if you land the one, it shreds a lot of MR. And Cube was constantly taking Bin to school in this game up on the top side. It took a little while, but after that second play that Monki made, that's when it felt like the Jets got turned on for Team WE.
Yeah, and they just put their foot down and keep on going, and they have not looked back so far. They find themselves in an 8,000 gold lead, up 3 Drakes. This is going to be Soul if they can pick this next one up. And BLG, they just haven't been hitting any of these big moments, but even then, they don't really have the damage available to them to really capitalize on it. The only member going to be dealing damage at the moment is Elk.
On going to be targeted out. He's going to have to flash over the wall. Cube flashing after him.
Oh
and Knight is getting burnt. Elk is dead. Pop Blossom. It's not going to save you. Shadow finally hits the Cyclone. But the Shadow Clone Jutsu ain't going to save you. Cube rightfully getting a triple kill. Getting his flowers this game. As Bin is the last one standing.
This is now going to be 2 people going deathless right here for WE. Bin, he doesn't have any friends for another 20 seconds at least, and with the Baron empowered minions here, this is going to be a WE victory. BLG, they couldn't hang on to this one, and they get overrun by WE.
Monki on tanks, I sleep. Monki on carries, I wake. As he goes 6-0-9. Coming up huge in this game. Shutting down Shadow. Clamps, put the seatbelt on this man.
He got straps on that one, and this was really fun to see out of WE. Like, yes, this team, they love to get us into a game 3. WE are the kings of sending us to a game 3. They're not super good at winning game number 3, so we'll have to see going on into the next one, but who cares? Right here, right now, this was WE's moment, and it was so impressive that it happened across the board, right? The only place in which there were a couple of questions was early on, down in the bottom lane. Elk and On were able to pick themselves up a couple of kills, but even then, Taeyoon and Vampire were able to get a couple back for themselves and just keep it on rolling. Every single other lane was able to do really well, and you highlighted it perfectly. Monki, on a carry, is actually able to step up and just take over this game. It felt like the Xin Zhao was just everywhere. Every single lane, constantly getting aggressive. Deathless right there from Monki, and that's brilliant to see.
Yeah, it was really, really good stuff by Team WE. The bot lane was a little shaky. That's the big worry, because if it had gone much worse, perhaps we're in a scenario where this game you can't really come back from. But luckily, everybody else got the job done. The top side bailed out the mistakes. The mistake of Vampire, really. I mean, I don't think Taeyoon played it particularly well, but he wasn't really put in a good spot. And we talked about how, in order for him to be really successful, you have to, at this point, kind of put him in the best spot that you possibly can.
Absolutely you do, and hey, the fact that WE were able to pull through a little bit of bot lane adversity and put themselves into a good spot to be able to win this one out is great to see, and I love the fact that we're now getting another win right here from Cube on a different champion, right? He takes his first loss of the season on the Scion and then bounces back with a really impressive performance on the Rumble. Was just pushing Bin around constantly. Bin was basically never actually able to step up in this situation, basically from the first time that kill goes over to Monki in the top side. From that moment on, he can't really play this one out, and it's rough. It's rough to see. For BLG, it's back to the drawing board. I liked the composition that they had for themselves. I wasn't too worried about it. I thought the Wombos could come on through, but unfortunately, they just didn't get themselves any sort of pressure in that game out of Shadow. I thought Shadow was incredibly quiet in this one, and it cost them in the end.
He was only a Shadow. He was just not able to do anything. And you would expect a Wukong and an Orianna to like fireworks, like go in, boom, Cyclone, boom, Shockwave, it's over. We never saw that. We did not see that at all. And BLG's fight setups were just not great, to be honest with you.
No, they were constantly finding themselves in fight situations where they just did not have any kind of advantage, where they didn't have themselves either the item break points, or they had a couple of different abilities missing, big ultis missing, or they had members missing. Bin was constantly walking his way from top lane down to these fights and arriving to them 20, 30 seconds late, and that will cost you. And you can see it reflected right here, where it felt like almost nobody here from BLG was actually able to step up in this game. I guess Elk tried, right? Elk was still dealing a decent chunk of damage for his team, but this series so far, and I wonder if you agree, I think it's been kind of rough from Knight. I don't think Knight's been having a particularly good evening for himself.
No, not at all. It's weird because he's been so good. Like, even at his worst, which I think was in Split 1, he was still playing fairly solid. He wasn't playing up to his usual standards, but he'd been probably slightly above league average at that point. And in this split, he has just been absolutely dominating, but I guess Karis is his kryptonite. I don't know.
Yeah, apparently so. Which is interesting, right? Because as we talked about coming into today, Karis has not had particularly impressive performances. He's been exploitable by a lot of different mid laners that we would think of as worse than Knight in this series. But hey, all of a sudden, Knight kind of being shut down. So it'd be interesting to see if he can bounce himself back in this next game, because for BLG, losing to WE, we talked about it. We said, hey, the prophecy has foretold that BLG are going to lose, but I don't know that we fully believed it. Hey, we're getting to the point where maybe you have to think about it. Yeah,
I'm starting to buy it. This honeymoon is where we're having a good time, and then all of a sudden Shadow swipes the card declined.
Yep.
What do you mean? What do you mean card declined? Card declined. Hang on, honey. Give me 1 second. I gotta go check the bank account. Like, that's what's happening after this game. They were going for a nice steak dinner, and now in Game 3 you might have to settle for McDonald's or something like that. We'll see what happens. Bloxxer, I think it's time to select an MVP. I would love to give it to Monki, but I think Cube did a lot. Monki was a big driver in this game, though, so like you could give it to either, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think either one. I would go towards Monki. I think he was a real driving force in this game. I think that, yes, Cube was able to do pretty well into Bin and was able to capitalize on a lot of these plays, but it was Monki starting them off, as we always talk about in WE wins. Monki starting off fights, getting his team into good spots for everybody else to be able to capitalize. But honestly, this was a really impressive performance from a lot of different members. I wouldn't give the MVP over to Karis, but I think he had one of his best performances of the split so far. I would be super mad if they looked at him, if somebody gave him an MVP vote. I wouldn't be mad about that.
If you gave him a vote, go for it.
Yeah, overall, Monki, though, would be my shout for MVP.
I think I'm picking Cube above Monki, but again, I think it's fine if you give him either, because I don't. If you don't have the Rumble in this game, right, or Cube is not as strong as he is,
you don't win it.
This game is much harder to win.
Yes. Absolutely. He was hitting a bunch of really good equalizers. He was actually super accurate with those harpoons as well, constantly landing them onto people. And you just saw it through the early game, right? Bim was never able to put himself in a spot to actually teleport away. And you want to get your Ornn into a spot to teleport out and go get involved across the rest of the map. That's part of the point of the Ornn. It's that initial bit of non-committal engage that you then get to follow up with, where you've now got your Nico to go flashing in, right? You've then got the Shockwave to start things off. You don't have to put it all on these guys to start things. You start it with the Ornn, but he's not there. He's out of mana. He's half health at the point at which he's arriving. These are all things that make these team fights harder and harder to execute for BLG, and that is Cube setting them up for success every single time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, you know, come to think of it, you know, we saw a pretty good couple of Call the Forge gods that were in like 2v1s and 1v1s, but we never saw them in team fights. Who's our MVP? It's going to be Monki. Ethical MVP in my book. This is totally fine. I'm okay with it. It was definitely well-deserved.
Absolutely. There's a reason that we constantly talk about this guy as the beating heart of BLG. And you can see MVP count 4. Now, you can only get MVP in games that you win, and there haven't been a huge amount of won games right here out of WE.
It's number 7 for them.
Yeah, this is their 7th win at this point in the standings. You can tell who it is that when they win, it plays through him for good reason. It was really impressive. That being said, now that we're getting into a game number 3, we've got a lot of these aggressive junglers that I really think of as Monki specials coming off of the board. You still got the Vi available. That could be something to look towards the Jarvan as well. Be interesting to see if BLG keep the Skarner on the ban table or if they allow him to pick up his signature champion right here. If you want to win, again, Monki, he's got to be that guy for WE, and it'll be great to see if he can do it.
I just know they're going to draw up the most terrible Viego comp for him. I just have a feeling, because it always seems to happen
Yanni,
in Game 3s.
Don't speak that into the universe,
No,
bro.
I'm speaking it into the universe.
Nah.
We'll see over the break if it ends up materializing in the minds of the Team WE coaches. When we come back, it'll be the final game for the first series of our Super Saturdays between Team WE and BLG. See you on the other side.